Welcome to Red Zone DFS Week 9. Jimmy, hit it. 9-9.
Pay the line. It's hammer time.
Let's go. All right, everyone. Before we get started here, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Like. Make sure we get those likes up, and we'll give you our best plays at the end of the pod here. You want to hear the crazy, weird plays that hit every single week? You need to hit the like button. You need to hit the subscribe button. And we're ready to go. How you guys feeling this week on this very odd 10-game slate with a 2-game afternoon dinger on the back end?
I feel good.
Yeah, I was going to say, I actually feel
yeah.
strangely good.
Yeah.
I love the 10-game slates. When I see like 14 or 15-game slates, I start getting a little nervous. But the 10-game slate, oof, it's right in my wheelhouse.
I really just like how, like, some of the games are, like, shaking out, too. Like, I like the matchups. Like, I feel some weeks that I feel like I just like too much, and it's work to pare down, like, who my core is going to be. This week, for me, it seems pretty easy, which is usually a good thing. Whether those plays end up hitting or not is something completely different. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good week.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
have
think
3 weeks.
I was just saying, I really like the way last week kind of finished off as well. Like, it plays into kind of where I'm going this week. So I'm pretty stoked, man. I feel really good about this week. So I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I feel like I'm on a heater. I have 3 weeks in a row with 200-point lineups. So we're going to keep that going. You guys want to get started at quarterback? So start up at the top here.
Let's do it. Jim, lead it off.
So I think that Josh Allen is underpriced. I think that there's no way that he should be less than $9,000 on any slate. That being said, I don't know if the game that they played last week has me a little bit concerned. They should have absolutely demolished the Packers, and they just kind of let them hang around. Josh Allen made a few mistakes. Now, I know that you're going to have games like that, but the Jets have a much better defense overall than the Packers do. So for me, if we're paying up this week, my number one guy is going to be Justin Herbert. I really like the spot that he's in. I don't care that his two main receivers are out. It condenses the stack and makes it much easier for me. And if PJ Walker was able to put up 30+ on Atlanta's defense, I think that Justin Herbert and his fuzzy little friend Austin Eckler are going to be quite the dynamic duo this weekend. So it's Herbert for me. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm on Herbert as well. I kind of like the fact that both Williams and Keenan are out. I think it should scare some people off of this, but I'm gonna keep riding it. I think they're coming off of a bye. Playing Atlanta, like you said, they don't scare me whatsoever. I like Herbert quite a bit. But up top, I'm with you on Josh Allen. I'll have some shares for sure, but I think it's a divisional game. The Jets, they got something about them. They play hard. They play tough. Like, I don't think this will be a blowout game. So for me up top, as much as I hate him and think he's not a really good quarterback, but I'll keep playing Kyler in fantasy. No doubt about it. I think I like the fact that the last time these two teams played, it wasn't a shootout. But I think it has all the makings to be a shootout, right? They have Hopkins back. Their offense is starting to click a little bit. I know they lost to Minnesota last week, but Tyler had a good game. Nuke is the obvious target there. And then you've got, Ertz and Rondale there. You've got the other side of the game, which is hot. So Kyler for me up top is probably my favorite, along with with Herbert as well.
Yeah, I really like Kyler, man. That game, it's got one of the highest totals on the slate. Kyler hooked it up for us last week. He had, 29.5 points. I think it was second highest total of quarterbacks, and that wasn't looking good in the first half. I think he had 6 points in DK on the first half. It was looking a little scary there, and then they turned it on in the second half because they were behind. I think this game is very similar. Seattle might get on them pretty quick, and then Arizona has to play from behind. I mean, all the options are great. Rondale Moore even put up 24 points last week. Hopkins with 36. Ertz didn't do much for us, but there's too many options and too many stack options for this game. I don't care how popular it is. Kyler's my definite favorite.
The other thing I like too is like we all think Seattle's eventually going to come back to earth a little bit, and Arizona's not out of this division. You know what I mean? Like they're 3-5, but they're a game and a half out of first, right?
And DK
here, so.
And DK and Lockett on the other side is the first time neither of them are even on the injury report right now. They came off of it today, and that just bodes well for the over and this game getting a lot of points. So I'm all over Kyler. I like Herbert. I like Allen. What do you guys think about Tua this week being in Chicago? I haven't checked weather or anything. I feel like the weather should be starting to get a little weird in Chicago with those Miami candy-ass uniforms. Is this the time where Miami starts slowing down a little bit? So it's getting colder, going to North games.
From what I've read, they're going to have weather tomorrow, but it should clear up for Sunday. They're supposed to get some pretty big storms just because I know I was researching that Ohio State Northwestern game, which is in Chicago. And there's going to be heavy winds, storms all through the North Midwest or whatever. But I think it should be pretty cleared up. But I'm not on to it this week. He has those spark games. I just don't think this is really a spot for it. The Bears are kind of like the Jets, right? Like they're not good, but they're not terrible either. I just don't know if this is like quite a ceiling spot for them, And I just don't love Miami teams going to Soldier Field. Like it's a crap field. Like, I don't know, man. I just don't quite see ceiling potential here with this one, but I could be wrong.
Agree. In Chicago, I don't think it's going to really push it from the other side, which scares me.
Well, the Tua stack blew up last week, right? But it's because they got down early, right? And they're gonna run the ball first. I mean, we saw what Tony Pollard did to the Bears last week, especially in a game that's not going to be so hot weather-wise. I think that Miami is definitely going to go out and try and run the ball pretty hardcore in this one, and the Bears really don't have an answer for that. And now compound that with the fact that they've traded their best tackler, Roquan Smith. I think that Mike McDaniels is really going to try and take advantage of that. I don't think that he loves having Tua throwing the ball that much. So I'm with you guys. I'm probably, I think it could be an interesting stack, but I would rather just go elsewhere. Because I don't think a lot of people are going to pay up for Murray and Herbert. And I think more people are going to, everyone's going to gravitate to Josh Allen, and then there's a lot of value at quarterback this week, but I don't think this is the week to play value at quarterback because of some of the other injuries. We can get to these premium quarterbacks and premium players with the value elsewhere. So I'm just kind of passing on that.
Yeah, looking at it too, like these guys are priced up, right? Like if you're going to go a full Miami onslaught, like it's not cheap. Right, like to get Tyreek and to get Waddle it's not cheap, right? So you have to hit on that stack if you go.
They did do a good job. I mean, DraftKings.
I mean, those two guys have been going nuts, so you had to do it. But
they did make some weird choices. Like, why is Josh Allen only priced at 8,500? Right, so they made some weird pricing adjustments this week. I'm with you guys.
Yeah. What about in the sixes? Who are you guys here? Because I have two very clear guys that I'm going to that I'm hoping people are going to kind of be off.
I got no one in the sixes, so you guys can take this.
Nobody in the sixes. I think I'll let you go, Vinny, because I'll take whatever one you don't talk about.
All right. Well, I like Mr. Joey Burrow as a bounce back spot here. I just love the fact that, he had a bad game, no doubt about it, but prime time, like I think a lot of people are going to look at it and say, oh my God, this was a disaster, which it was. They don't have Chase, and I'm just hoping that is what happens because I love the fact of going back to Burrow, Higgins, and Boyd here. It's a complete bounce back spot here for the Bengals. So he's one of my favorite stacks this week.
So my favorite guy who I actually like more than Burrow, but I am on Burrow a little bit this week, is going to be Kirk. I think Washington's defense is just not very good. I know everyone is kind of steaming them up a little bit because they're getting Chase Young back. I mean, that's fine, but they're just not very good. Conversely, Washington has been able to show the ability to put points against bad defenses, and Minnesota's defense sucks. Yeah. So I really like Kirk Cousins because I like his stacking options this week. I'm going to try and go get a couple of premium wide receivers this week. And a guy that people just don't really continuously want to play is Justin Jefferson. Like, he's just not being that owned. So if I like him, I'm just going to ride Kirk right along with it. I think they're going to throw the ball a fair amount. And I do think that, while Washington doesn't have a great defense, their running defense is probably the better part of their defense. Their DBs and their passing defense is very, very poor. So Kirk is my guy. I like a little bit of savings you can get. But I mean, Burrow, I'm going to probably have a little bit of Burrow too. What's your guys' stance? It looks like Aaron Rodgers right now is the highest owned quarterback on the slate. What are you guys doing with him?
I am trying my best to ignore it, just because he had his highest totals this year of yards are 255 and 251 in 8 games. To just magically reappear and all of a sudden turn that offense around, I just don't see that happening. I think the Packers, if their offense is going to go, it's going to go through Aaron Jones in their running game. It's not going to be through their passing game. If I am going to go Aaron Rodgers, it is nice that Lazard's going to be back this week. You can go Rodgers, Lazard. So I'll probably have one of those just because I don't want to miss it because he's getting so highly owned. But I don't trust it. I mean, his ceiling is so low. He has no running capability. He's not throwing for 300-yard games. I mean, you just can't trust it right now, even against a really poor Lions defense.
Yeah, I'm full fading Rodgers.
Again, I'm of the opinion that, LaFleur comes from that Shanahan, McVay tree, McDaniels tree, where they really do want to run the ball. There's a reason why they involve A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones quite a bit. And Detroit's defense is a run funnel. They actually have a very good secondary. Jeff Okudah has transitioned after a really tough rookie year into a very, very, very good cornerback, albeit on a bad team, right? So some of his metrics don't look good. But if you actually watch the film, he shuts down number one wide receivers, not completely. I don't think there's really such thing as a shutdown corner anymore, but they're a run funnel. They're a run funnel. They've got Bakhtiari back. It's very, very clear that Aaron Rodgers has some more deficiencies this year. Lazard's coming back. He's still banged up. They've got young wide receivers. I'm very interested in the Green Bay running game, but if Aaron Rodgers scores 40 points and beats me this week, then that's fine. Yeah. I'll let everybody else kind of capitalize on that. I doubt it's going to happen.
Yeah, I highly doubt it as well.
Yeah, I just don't see the ceiling here, right? Like, I get it. Detroit's defense is absolutely horrible, but, like, I mean, what are we talking about here? Like you said, Joe, like Rodgers, I think he's just a guy who's like, he'll gladly get 250, 2 touchdowns, and they'll throttle down and just pound them. Like, Rodgers in this point in his career doesn't need to, like, make an example of anybody. You know what I mean? Sure. So I'm off of that for sure. One guy I do have is the other father time of our league, but I'm going back to Brady. I like it from the fact that they're coming off a bye, right? Yeah. The Giselle ball and chain is off of his ankle. He's had a week to, hopefully regroup. The prenup got settled. I read that today. Felt good about it. But no, in all seriousness, I just Brady off of a bye at home. Dude, we saw firsthand the Rams are not the same team as they were last year, just flat out. Like, I have to imagine Brady and them kind of expose them again this week. At home off a bye, I'll roll the dice on Tom at 6K.
Yeah, it's interesting. So Brady's not getting the highest projections, but his receivers are. So it's like there's a way to get to this game without going to Brady, which I think I would rather do.
You can do that. Yep.
Because Evans and Godwin are coming out, right, like with very highly points projected, but Brady is not really popping up on that. So I'm not really on Brady this week, but I'm not against the game.
Yeah, I just think his price is in a good spot too, right? If Brady was 7K or 6,800, like, you start getting a little dicey. It's 6K, man. I mean, it's cheap.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the metrics that, especially Mike Evans, who has not converted, I mean, he's had something like 400 air yards in the last 2 games. 400 air yards.
So Tom's just letting it fly.
I mean, look, if he's gonna just keep letting it fly to Evans, I don't know how you can't play like, especially like a larger field single entry with Brady, because the Rams that I watched last week,
terrible.
They're just flat out bad.
They've got a few star players, and outside of that, their team is not very good, man.
No,
they're just not.
They have little to no pass. I mean, you saw it. I mean, even though the Niners have a fucking turnstile at right tackle, and Mike McGlinchey, that stupid fucking T-bar that he wears, they still were not able to generate a whole lot of pressure. I mean, it's tough because like they can double team Aaron Donald, and then there's really nobody else, right? They don't bring a whole lot of blitzes. Jalen Ramsey plays up kind of like around the line now. So in the past, where you would think that, he would be kind of a problem for Mike Evans or something like that, and maybe they kind of switch him a little bit. But, I mean, this is kind of a must-win game for both teams. So I do like Brady quite a bit this week. I think it's a good spot for him. So Joe, if you're not going to Brady, who are you going to at like in the high fives or just somewhere in the
just go ahead and talk about Heineke, Joe.
Yeah, I mean,
guys, he got 4X last week. I mean, what do you want me to say, right? I mean, Heineke's a winner. The guy knows how to play in the second half. He's going to huck and chuck it. I mean, him to McLaurin is just their ultimate fantasy combo that you want. And again, he got us 4X last week. I think the whole public is on Minnesota to smash Washington this week. I think it's going to be a close game. There's a reason Minnesota's only favored by 3. I think they keep it close, and Heineke gets us 4X again. 5,400. I mean, we only need about 22 points from him. Bring it on. I think Heineke can get there easy.
Yeah, I think Heineke's a fine play. I don't know why he's only 2% owned, and people are wanting to play Derek Carr over Taylor Heineke at this point. Like, I just don't get it. So people can go ahead and continue to play Derek Carr. That's fine. I want no part of it.
What about you, Jim? Who's your down low guy? Because I got one. It's my favorite quarterback in the week, maybe.
Well, mine's going to be Trevor Lawrence at 5,200.
Yeah, baby.
That's my guy.
Yep.
I don't know why he's 5,200. He played a very good game in London last week. They didn't win, but it really wasn't because of his fault, right? Where do the Raiders really get smashed very, very difficult, very, very hard on defense? They get their ass kicked by tight ends, and they get their ass kicked out of the slot. Two of the best wide receivers or receiving options on the Jags are Kirk out of the slot and Evan Ingram, who's criminally priced this week at tight end.
So's Kirk.
And Kirk is low priced too, and ETN has cemented himself as just the absolute bell cow there. Yeah. The Raiders don't have very good cover linebackers, pass catching running backs. See any Austin Eckler game versus them, just not good, right?
This is the Raiders going to the East Coast again. We said last week. Raiders going to the East Coast is not good.
So they stayed out there. They stayed in Florida, but I don't know if that really matters. I mean, the only thing you could say there.
So they got to go to a free Hooters meal from Mark Davis out there, or what? What does that mean?
PF Chang's.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I'm sure that they found one out there. I'm sure that they did. I'm guessing the banquet birthday room in the back is where Mark and the head coach had their meeting before he, probably has net jets on speed dial to get the hell out of there if they lose this weekend. But yeah, I mean, at 5,200, I just think it's criminally underpriced. Yep. He's by far and away the highest points per dollar value down in this range, and he's got a legitimate ceiling of 30 to 35 points this week. At 5,200, I mean, just cannot be ignored.
Yeah.
With you. And before we move on, I just want to give a shout out to Vinnie for the Justin Fields call last week of getting 5X after me and Jimmy just destroyed him.
I mean,
game flow.
Justin Fields go out and gets 5X. So salute to you.
I said I hope it works out for you, and it did. And I just,
thank you. Hopefully Lawrence can do the same for us this week.
I hope so too. And nobody else down here. You're not going back to the well on old Sammy Ellinger.
Negative.
So the one thing I will say about Sam Ehlinger is, obviously Jonathan Taylor's out. I would have rather if Jonathan Taylor had been playing, I would have actually had some interest because I think Belichick would have just loaded up the line and dared Ehlinger to throw the ball a little bit. I still have some interest, but for $200 more, if I can play Trevor Lawrence, I don't see really a reason to have to go there. If he was 4K again, yeah, I would absolutely be thinking about it, but not at 50 or not at 5,000.
Couldn't agree more.
Running back.
All right, guys, let's move on to running backs. Vinny, lead us off.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to start at Eckler up top, right? He's getting some ownership, but without these receivers, not nearly enough.
Disclaimer, every running back's getting ownership.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not worried about it.
But I think, we saw, dude, without these receivers, Eckler may get 10, 15 targets tomorrow in the passing game.
He's got just some. It's not out of the realm of possibility. He has 26 targets the past 2 games.
Okay, so 13 average. I'll take that tomorrow, or on Sunday. 8,800. I think it's the safest play on the board. Knock on wood. Hopefully, it doesn't shred his Achilles 5 minutes in the game. But I think it's the safest play on the board at that price.
So even just to back that up, even though he is coming in with about 16 to 18% ownership. He's showing up in the optimal lineup 24 to 25% of the time. So even with that high of ownership, he still has a positive leverage rate.
Yeah.
I can't get this guy in enough lineups. I'll probably be 35 to 45% Eckler.
I've already built the majority of my core lineups to start, and he's at 40% of my lineups right now. So, below that, what do you guys like?
I really like Aaron Jones. I also like AJ Dillon. It could be a week where AJ Dillon snipes Aaron Jones multiple times. So 100%. I'm going to have a lot of lineups with either or, and hoping the right lineup goes. But Aaron Jones, he's looking like a beast. I mean, that offense is only going to run if he runs. They're not going to rely on their passing game. Green Bay actually has a decent defense. They know how to win is to play good defense, run the ball. Aaron Rodgers converting short third downs on slant routes to Lazard or Tanyan, right? So I love Aaron Jones. He's one of my top plays this week.
Real quick, what are you guys getting ownership-wise on Jacobs?
20 to 23% I have. The highest tied with Ramondre for the highest owned running back this week.
I was really hoping he would be someone after last week's debacle. People jumped off, but doesn't sound like it's the case. So
it's just the sheer volume that he's getting.
The
Jags do have a decent pass rush, so he could get there. I would, if I'm going to eat that much ownership, I would rather just go to Jones for $100 more, or to Mixon for about $800 less. Because they're carrying virtually the same ownership. But with Jamar Chase being out, I just like the opportunities for Mixon a little bit more in the passing game. I mean, he had seven receptions on 9 targets last week. So, I mean, even though the Bengals were an absolute shit show on Halloween, he was still able to come through and hit that number. So, what about you, Vinny, down here in the 6s?
I mean, I can make this very easy. Ramondre, Etienne, and Kenneth Walker all in 40% of my lineups.
I'm sorry. Etienne is now steamed up to the highest owned running back at 31%.
But for me, it's been working out for me recently. I just don't care, because it's simply because it's a clear mispricing, right?
Yeah.
Stevenson, Etienne, and Walker should all be over 7K this week. They're not. I think you just have to eat it. At least 2 of these guys are guaranteed. You have to play one in your lineup. These 3 guys are all in such good spots. It worked for me a couple weeks ago when I almost took down the tournament. I just played all 3 in majority of my lineups, and I just mix and match my stacks. And
it's not a big deal if you have one or 2 guys that are highly owned in your lineup, right? You're going to get contrarian elsewhere, so it's not that big of a deal.
Well,
just
again,
play the 3,
For me, I really like to do the strategy where you play your quarterback with a pass catching receiver, right? So that's why I like the Herbert stacks with Eckler this week. That's why I love the ETN stacks with my Lawrence stacks, because you can play ETN. I think that they're going to kind of throttle the Raiders a little bit. Even if they lose, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
He's still involved.
Look,
I'm okay.
Public's all over the Raiders again for no reason at all, and I just don't get it.
They clearly didn't watch the game last week. I mean, if you watched the game and then went and took your hard-earned $50, $100, $500, whatever your average public bettor is betting, and put your money on the Raiders this week, like, I have some serious questions about, like, are you okay, right? Should you be calling the 1-800-GAMBLER hotline? Like,
and the Raiders just look deflated, right? Like they came to the season with tons of promise, right? Getting the media heroes all off season for the Devontae Adams trade, and look what they're going to do with McDaniels. Things have gone the complete opposite direction, and you saw the team not even able to tackle Kamara last week as if he was like Derrick Henry. Like Kamara's good, but he was literally just breaking tackles and trucking people. That's a deflated defense that doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, and with Kenneth Walker too, we saw Pete Carroll's comments this week, which like blew me back in my chair, which was like, we're not even giving this kid the full workload yet. Like, just wait. Like, we haven't even seen the best of Ken Walker. So at 6,200, again, all three of these guys are just complete mispricings. Like, I'm going to get those three in my lineup as much as possible this week.
Yeah, get them while you can.
So some two other guys that are a little bit lower owned that I'm going to, they're just underneath those guys, is I'm going right back to Raheem Mostert.
Yes.
And I'm going right back to Donta Foreman.
Yes.
I don't care that Chuba's back this week.
He's not. He's out today.
He was out.
Got rolled out.
So that's great. So at 6,000, so we'll talk about it a little bit later too with Jackson at 5,200. But I like that they priced Foreman up, because everyone is going to say, he can't do that again this week. We'll just go ahead and
his ownership's below 10% right now.
Exactly. So I'm more than happy to go to him. These I'm going to be mixing and matching ETN, Walker, Stevenson, Mostert, and Foreman probably the most. And like Vinny said, I'm probably going to be trying to play three of these guys, and I'll be playing quite a bit of lineups this week with running back in the flex, because a lot of people I just don't think like to do that. Is there anybody else below that you guys are looking for?
I mentioned him already, but AJ Dillon at 5,700. I'm playing him actually quite a bit. I just feel like it's one of those weeks everyone's like, where did AJ Dillon go? And there's a chance he gets like 3 goal line touchdowns this week.
Yep.
Yeah, and I am going to have quite a bit of Deion Jackson. He's looked really good when he's been in there. He's the only guy, dude. They just traded Nyheim Hines, and again, I know they're playing New England. I know like this offense sucks, but this guy's going to get every touch out of the backfield this week, and he catches the ball, right? So he's just too cheap, you know? Like, I'm going to have him sprinkled in. Like, another, not necessarily mispricing because Taylor, got ruled out, but he's the only guy there.
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys that kind of regardless of ownership, you just have to play because it is just a free square.
Yep. Totally.
Is there anybody else, because I have 2 guys at 5,500 that I have quite a bit of interest in.
That's it for me.
Joey?
Who are you guys?
If Cordero Patterson gets activated on Saturday.
I totally forgot about that. He could come back.
To play him on the other side in that Chargers game.
Yep.
And Arthur Smith said, we're going to evaluate and see on Saturday. But he posted a video like a week and a half ago of him like pulling a sled. That was like,
dude, he's been running like wind sprints for like a month. I
think he's fine.
It's like,
he's good. So like Saturday, they're going to late activate him. He's going to go low owned, and Cordero Patterson is fucking back, baby.
Wait a second. What's his price?
Where is he? He is 5,800.
Okay.
58.
Okay.
So the 2 guys at 55, and it's not going to be that I'm going to be specifically targeting them, but it's Michael Carter and Antonio Gibson. If you go back and watch the film, Antonio Gibson has looked quite a bit better than Brian Robinson.
I haven't understood this. He's their best running back by far.
And look, I understand that they want to play Brian Robinson and that he's their future. And I'm not doubting that Brian Robinson's a stud, but let's all not forget that This guy got fucking shot a few months ago, multiple times in the legs. So, like, of course, that Brian Robinson is not going to look like the guy he looked like at Alabama. The fact that he's even playing is a fucking miracle.
Give him some credit. Yeah, he's out there over.
But I mean, Antonio Gibson is actually playing a fair amount of the passing downs.
He's good, dude.
And they're not putting McKissick in as much as they used to during passing situations.
No,
and I think
Gibson's taking that over.
And I think one of the main reasons is McKissick is just not a very good pass blocker. And to your point, Joe, they like to throw the ball down the field with Heineke. And so in order for them to be able to do that, Gibson has to stay in on most passing downs. That's another reason why Brian Robinson is not seeing a ton of the field. They're usually trailing. He doesn't know the pass blocking schemes as well. Gibson's been there for a few years. He knows what he's doing.
Oh, Jim,
I think at 5,500.
And if this helps, J.D. McKissick just got ruled out today.
So perfect. So I mean, if you needed any more reason, he just fits so easily into the run backs. You can play McLaurin and Gibson coming back if you're playing Kirk in those stacks, or if you want to play Heineke, I'm fine. Again, running back that's going to catch passes from a quarterback with McLaurin, you're eating up about 70% of the touchdown equity of that team. So I'm going to have he's only coming in at about 8% owned right now, and I'm probably going to have 15 to 20% of Antonio Gibson in my lineups.
Bang.
I like that call.
All right.
Ready to go off to one-off receivers?
One-off receivers. Who we got?
I'll start it off for a one-off. I alluded to this earlier, but it's Mike Evans. I'm not going to be playing Brady personally, but Mike Evans is a one-off to throw him in a ton of lineups this week. I think he's a smash. I mean, I've been on him like 3 times this year, and it hasn't hit. It's going to happen. It's bound to happen.
My favorite one-off of the week is a high-priced one that no one's going to play, and it's my main man, Gabe Davis. 6,900. You saw when Buffalo beats the shit out of bad teams, it's not from like, oh, they ran the ball a bunch, blah, blah, blah. It's a full-on passing onslaught blitz. Jets have Sauce Gardner, okay? He's going to play, he doesn't flip a whole bunch, so you could play Diggs in that stack if you wanted to, but they're going to take their deep shots with Gabe. And you saw 5 minutes into the Steelers game, Gabe already had 20-plus points, and if you didn't have him on that day, you were fucked. So he's a guy, a wide receiver up here that has legitimate 35, 40-point upside. My other favorite one-off for this week is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's a guy that has easy 30-point upside, fully healthy. Played last week. I still don't think his conditioning was back up to game condition yet. I think he's back and ready to go this week. He's a guy that's priced up. Not a lot of people are going to get him in there. He's carrying only about 9 to 11% ownership right now. I'll take St. Brown all day long.
All right,
Vinnie.
Yeah, man. I think in the mid tier, I mean, I really like DK Metcalf. I'm just not a Lockett guy. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna have equal shares of both of them, but I like DK here as my bring back. He's yet to have that game where he just absolutely is just a monster out there. But the other one, I was off of him last week and he ended up burning the shit out of me. But now he's like half the ownership of last week because he went up like $600 is DJ Moore. Like, okay, so he's the only guy in town. I'm only seeing like 11, 12% ownership on him.
I've got him at 13 to 15%.
Okay, but he was like 25 last week.
I get it.
So I'm just like, I get it. And he went up a couple $100, but it's like,
so
guys, just the same guy.
Just keep in mind before that long touchdown, and I know the long touchdown happened.
I know.
Terrence Marshall had more points than he did.
I know.
Now, that was a 17-point play on DraftKings, okay, because it got him the 3-point bonus. It was a massive touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't hate it, right? Especially in your Burrow stacks. It's just a very easy run back.
Yeah. He still had 11 targets last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got 36 targets in the last 4 weeks. I played DJ Moore last week. I didn't want to, and he just kept popping up in my optimizer, and I'm like,
yeah, dude,
he was putting in some lineups, and Again, it paid off.
Because you're right, Jim. All game I was like patting myself on the back for fading the chalky, receiver.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden he hit, and I was like, dude, that was devastating for my lineup. So if he's gonna be half the ownership, I like him. But what about down into the low fives, high fours? Where are some areas that you guys
I think if you don't want to play Gabe Davis, but if you still want to get exposure to the Buffalo game, I think Isaiah McKenzie is a fantastic option this week.
Yep.
Look, Robert Saleh is a good coach, and to play devil's advocate against my Davis call, if they're just going to blanket over the top and play too deep cover two, sky zone and not let anyone go deep, they're just going to dink and dunk you over the middle. And Isaiah McKenzie is a guy that he's going to be out there on the field. He's 4,900. Nobody is going to play him.
1% ownership, yeah.
Yeah, no one's going to play. He's priced up because he scored his little touchdown last week on the ground. It was a rushing touchdown. But I think that, if you just want to get one piece of that Buffalo game, I think that Isaiah McKenzie is fantastic.
Yep, I love that call. Joe?
I'm really just loving the stacks this week. So I'm going to be talking about most of my receivers when we do our full stacks. I'm having a hard time with the one-offs because every receiver I like is a part of my top 3 stacks.
For a cheap guy, I've found myself using Alec Pierce a little bit at 4,400.
Yeah.
Again, if we know about Belichick and we know what he's going to do, he's going to prioritize taking away the other team's best player. Jonathan Taylor's no longer on the field. That focus is now going to shift to Michael Pittman.
Yep.
Alec Pierce is now at the point where he's fairly comfortable, I think, in the offense, and he's running not only the deep routes, which I like, but he's also running the intermediate routes too. So he's a guy at 4,400 that I'm more than happy going to as a one-off to kind of just cement my lineup a little bit.
Yeah.
You got anybody down lower, Vinny?
He's literally a guy that will be 0% owned this week that I want to take a shot at. I'm putting him in one lineup. Won't be a big lineup. You called it last week. I'm playing the Robbie Anderson play this week. This is the week, dude.
2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row. That's what I mean. Nobody's going to play this guy. Nobody.
Yeah.
But he is an 80-yard bomb away.
The only
Kingsbury
reason
said, I know we just traded for this guy. We got to find a way to get him the ball.
Well, and on top of that, Dortch literally lost them the game last week. I can see them just totally just not even playing Dortch, and Robbie Anderson just gets all of his snaps.
Dortch is totally done.
Yeah.
He's completely done.
It was tragic. Our boy Dortch just saved us early in the year. He's dead.
His season's over because of that muffed punt, and I can see Robbie Anderson just getting all playtime over Dortch now.
But if you look at it, I don't think there's anybody else down in this range that could blow up the slate like he can.
Oh, I think that there's one person that could.
All right,
it's not. I like Terrence Marshall, but that's not the guy.
Okay.
If you keep scrolling down, you got to keep going a little bit further down. No,
I'm scrolling.
The Patriots.
Tyquan
Thornton, $3,300.
Dude.
He is a guy that is a short area guy, okay? Damian Harris is not going to be involved in the game again, which he's likely not. He just doesn't – I don't think he's healthy. It's going to be Ramondre. Their change of pace to get Mac going on easy throws because Mac Jones fucking sucks throwing the ball down the field is going to be Tyquan Thornton. $3,300, I think it's more than worth a stab. You don't have to go there, but if you're trying to play multiple premiums up top, you could do a lot worse. He's a guy that's constantly on the field. He does get red zone targets. And like I said, $3,300, he does have the ability where he's kind of like the Rondale Moore player. He does have the ability to hit that 18 to 20 point range this week. Is it likely? No, we're talking a guy who's priced at $3,300. But if there's one guy I'm going to take a shot on down here, it's going to be him.
Yeah, I mean, I like him as a player. I liked him at Baylor. He ran the fastest 40 time in the combine. The dude can play. He was. Mac Jones just sucks.
Well, he sucks.
Mac Jones is worse than this. The crap you find between your toes after working 11-hour days out. In a construction site.
Okay.
Mac Jones is
well,
terrible, but I like Thornton, so I do like the play. I just added him onto my sheet.
I mean, look, he was hurt at the beginning of camp, and Bill is very much of the opinion like if you're hurt, you might as well just be a corpse. Like,
yeah, but you haven't talked about he's also going to be catching passes from the offense to your boy Patricia. Does that downgrade him at all?
Well, that's a problem, right? But I know that you're just trying to get me a little fired up about that. But now that Mac Jones is, I don't know why Mac Jones is starting. Like I
don't get
there's
it
no loyalty that they have to Mac Jones. You can clearly see it's almost like the Christian McCaffrey thing with the Niners. When he's on the field, the whole team just looks more energized.
I think if they lost, they lost last week and they had a pick six called back on some BS penalty.
I just don't see the loyalty to Mac Jones. Like
if they come out and start slow, they will pull him.
Well, yeah, we've seen that's the precedent has been set, right?
Which would be devastating for our Stevenson play, but it's better for our Tyquan Thornton play. So.
I think you should. I don't think you should worry about that for playing either guy. I think Stevenson or Thornton, or I really like Jacoby Myers too as a one-off. We didn't really mention that, but let's move on to tight ends. We've talked about enough about the fucking garbage offense.
All right, Joe, tight end master. Where are you going?
Gerald Everett. He's my top tight end I'm going to be playing this week in the Herbert stacks and the non-Herbert stacks. Gerald Everett's going to be sprinkled all over the place.
So I'm so confused. How is Gerald Everett only like 4 to 6% owned, but 14 to 16% of people want to play Kyle Pitts all of a sudden because he's now caught a couple of touchdowns?
Yeah, he's my full fade this week, by the way. Another one is Kyle Pitts.
Dude, the Chargers might have the best tight end defender in the whole league in Derwin James.
I will not play share of Kyle Pitts this week.
No,
he beats me, whatever.
Yeah, there's no chance. For me, if we're going up top, I really like Hawkinson. A lot of people are going to stay away from him because he's the new team, blah, blah, blah. They've been very vocal. They've talked about it all week that he looks very comfortable within the offense. Kirk loves throwing to tight ends. Irv is completely out of the picture.
Kirk loves his tight ends.
Well, we know about good old church boy Kirk. Him and he likes the tight ends. We'll just leave it at that before it gets a little too far over the falls. But no pun intended there with the butt. TJ Hawkinson, less than 1% owned. In a game that I think is going to shoot out. He fits really nicely into my Kirk stacks with Jefferson. Or if I want to play it on the run back as well. He's a good player. And just because he's on a new team does not mean he's not going to get used. I think they're going to try and find a way to get him involved.
I like it.
Going down?
Going down. He's right now the number one tight end in all of my lineups is Tyler Conklin. Yes, I don't know why Zach Wilson likes this guy. He's actually not bad, but
he's fine. Yeah,
dude, he's seeing like 6 to 10 targets a week. And I know last week he had a spike. I'm not expecting 25 points, but if we expect the Bills to come out and shred them or get up, like. Jack Wilson will only throw to 2 guys. He won't throw to Elijah Moore. So it's either Conklin or Garrett Wilson that gets the targets.
And on top of that, Tre'Davious White, I think, is coming back this week for Buffalo. So everything needs to be thrown. All the passes are going to have to be over the middle of the field.
Well, and Poyer is out.
Yeah.
Their safety.
And Poyer's out. So the middle of the field is the only place to go.
Yes. I think Conklin is the best option as a bring back in that offense. He's 3,200, sub 10%. I'm going to have quite a bit of them.
Yeah, for me down there, I like the Conklin play. I just like Evan Ingram more. The target dispersion on that team is literally 4 guys. It's Ingram, it's Zay Jones, it's Kirk, and it's a little bit of Marvin Jones, and that's it. And they throw it to ETN a little bit, but that's it. And the Raiders, it's just a golden rule of fantasy. If you have a high target share tight end playing the Raiders, just play him. because it can't cover tight ends. So I mean, it's
Totally.
easy for me there this week.
What about the recycling?
I'm gonna have some shares of Logan Thomas this week. It's like the first time this season he doesn't have an injury designation, and it goes right into my Heineke plays.
I was thinking about
2,900, and we know Logan Thomas in the red zone is a monster.
Yep.
Yeah, get him while he's healthy. It won't be long. It won't last long, but he is good when he's healthy. So I like that play.
What do you guys do with
Thank you.
With Higbee and Tunyon, the two highest owned outside of Pitts, the two highest owned tight ends? Love
Tunyon for the red zone. If we're going to be on the Packers running game, I feel like you need to be on the tight end. Yep. I feel like they go in sync together. So I like Tunyon, but I don't like Higbee. I can see the Bucs defense actually really showing out this week.
Yeah, I don't really have either of them. Just because I'm with you guys. Like I really like the Everett call. Hawkinson's really interesting. But I just like these guys down low. Like a little bit of Hayden Hurst, Ingram, Conklin are my favorite. I know I'm gonna have some Cade Otton. Like I just like guys that are a little bit cheaper in my opinion. So for me, just the way some of my lineups are built out, I just won't.
Yeah, when there's no Kelsey, when there's no Kelsey on the slate or anything, it's just really easy to go down to that 2,500 to 3K range for tight end and try to just scoop up 8 to 10 points and move on with the rest of your lineup.
Well, and you just look at it. It's like Higbee was killing it, but the last 2 weeks, 2 targets, 6 targets, and it's just like, what are you getting from these guys that you're not getting from Evan Ingram?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just or Conklin, I'll just go down,
The real bottom of the barrel dart throw for me is going to be James Mitchell at 2,500.
I have no idea who that guy is.
Well, he is now the first string tight end for the Detroit Lions. And playing good old Jared Goff at home always plays better at home. If you wanted to get really spicy and run a Goff stack, I might do it.
Wait. One of you guys, weren't you on Brock Wright at one point?
He's banged up, and I just don't. James Mitchell, when they've both been on the field, Mitchell has run more routes, 4-2.
Ew.
So look,
it's defense. Jesus Christ,
it's a spec play, but if you really need somebody down there, there it is.
I like it. All right, Joe, go defense. Who are we going to this week?
I'm going against what you guys are saying about Minnesota. I think Minnesota, this is their week. They crash and burn. I think the Commanders' defense is a solid play.
They are my second highest owned defense.
This is the week where the Vikings and Kirk show who they really are.
Okay.
Show who they really are.
Barely getting into the playoffs after starting off the season 6-1 and then losing the wild card game. That's who the Vikings really
are. I'm going to be playing quite a bit of Jets.
I like it actually.
The Stone Men at 2,000. If they just get 0 points, or honestly, if they get me -1, which is their floor, their projected floor, that's fine for me because that salary savings just allows me to do so much elsewhere that it's a little bit more beneficial than paying up. If I am going to pay up, I think I like the Cardinals at home. Everyone has just been all over this Geno love fest and, Geno for MVP. I hear some of the, Nutso 12 saying Arizona at home, they play much better at home. They're not great, but look, Geno isn't, incapable of throwing interceptions. He does take some sacks. So, but other than that, I can't really see myself paying higher than the Cardinals this week. Do you guys have anybody you're dying to go up for or no?
Dying to go up for? I'll probably have some build where I have a Bill stack just in case Zach Wilson completely implodes.
Yeah.
Fair. I think that's very possible. They are. But it could happen. I kind of like the Bears down low. Last week, I know they got destroyed by Dallas, and everyone saw that. But it's the first week all year they've had absolutely gotten demolished on defense. So I don't know, man. I think this is just a tough spot for Miami to go up north playing rough, shittier conditions. So I have a little bit of Bears. I think the Lions are kind of sneaky here. I know Aaron Jones is in a great spot. The rest of that offense sucks. They absolutely suck. And I know the Lions D is not good, but neither are the Packers.
It's not a bad call.
Like, this is a really bad offense. And, like, I'm supposed to get all hot and bothered because Alan Lazard's coming back. Like, dude, fuck that guy. So, I'm going to play some Lions. Like,
fuck that guy.
Like, this is Dan Campbell's knee-biting, like, fighting team. His job's on the line here.
Oh, yeah,
like,
for sure.
Dude, like, Dan Campbell can earn himself maybe another half year if he beats this team and, like, convinces Martha Ford, like, we're bouncing back. Like, all we needed to do is trade TJ Hawkinson or something. So, I don't know, man. I just like, if everyone's going to play Rodgers, I'll play the Lions.
That's the move, right? If Rodgers getting that much ownership, you got to take the defense on their side. It's a good move.
Yep. So
I really like the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Jaguars at 3,100 again. Raiders on the East Coast.
So you think they're just going to blow them out?
The Raiders, I think, have given up. They have no hope for the playoffs. I mean, they have no depth on their team. They're starting to get injured. Devontae Adams is faking sicknesses. I mean, Derek Carr's Derek Carr. Yeah, I think Jaguars is a safe play. Derek Carr doesn't turn the ball over a lot, but I can also see them holding them to 14 points.
What do you guys think about a sneaky play here with the Colts? Because I have them in a few. We talked about how bad Mac Jones is, right?
I mean, I think it's fine. I think the Colts is more of like a cash game play. I think the Colts and Panthers. The Panthers are the second highest on defense this week. I think those two are like a pretty solid cash game play. Yeah. I just don't think that they have the playmakers to do anything crazy.
No, I like the Panthers. I mean, they at least get after the quarterback.
Yeah, I just can't. If the Panthers are going to be one of the chalk defenses, I just can't play them.
Well, they're just so cheap, right? Like, I'd rather play that than the Bucks, I think, are like the number 1 or 2 highest owned defense at $3K. Like, I'm not going up to $3K to play a chalk Bucks D.
No, I would rather just pay $2,000 for the Jets and then just see what I get.
Or again, I'll play chalk for $700 less than the Panthers,
And speaking of the Bucks being the chalkiest team, and we didn't talk about the other side of that game, but this is a game where in a really big tournament, it's probably not the worst idea to have some Rams players going, like a Stafford, Cup,
if
Higby. If the Bucks are getting over 20% ownership on defense, you have to have a lineup and a huge GPP with the Rams on the other side.
Yeah. And I like we're not big 150 max players. We don't do that at all. So like a tournament that we're talking about for me anyways would be like the $9 slant or the big $12 single entry that has
the 20,000 people.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect lineup to run a Ram stack in just for the hell of it. Yeah. I mean, it's like $9 or $12. And I mean, no one, even the 150 max players are not going to be running Stafford, Cup, Higby stacks. They're just not going to. And if the Rams win that game or are competitive in that game, then that's the people they're going to get it done with. Yep. So I didn't really even think about that, Joe, but I think that's a fantastic point to bring up because like you said, literally no one's going to do that.
Yeah. If you're going to get, 20% Bucks defense, like, yeah, I think it's a really sharp play.
Right now they're at 13 to 15%. I think easily by the time we hit Sunday, they could be up into the 20s. No problem.
All right, my drink's done. What do we got for top stacks?
Who's leading off? Because I got 2 stacks. 2 of my top stacks I can talk about here.
I'll take – so my favorite stack is going to be the Herbert, Eckler, Everett stack. I even like adding a 4th into that. You can either play Carter or what's his name?
Palmer.
You could play either one of those guys. You don't need. Here's where I'm going to get a little different. Unless Cordero Patterson plays, I will not be running it back with anybody from Atlanta. If you do want to run it back, you could do a Zacchaeus. Or you could do a $3,500 Damiere Byrd. Mayo was pumping him up on his pod today, and he brought up a great point. He's like, 3 to 4 times a game, they literally just bomb it deep to Damiere Byrd. If he connects on one of those, then you're good. And it's only $3,500, so it's not really killing you.
First off, I wish I was born into athletic ability just to be the guy to make like $700,000 a year to run 3 deep routes a game.
Like, hey, dude, you're gonna run 5 routes this game.
Instead, you were born to be a wedge breaker. Sorry, Vin.
Yeah, at a mediocre / subpar Division III school. Yeah, it really turned out well.
Yeah, I was right there with you. Dude. So let's take it easy on the.
All right, you got Chargers, and do you want one other or no?
No, that's my top stack. I mean, I've got some other ones that I'm going to be playing. I guess I'll say my other favorite stack is going to be the Minnesota side of that game. And I really like it just because it does have good run back options. I'm going to be doing Kirk, Jefferson, and Hawkinson is going to be where I'm going. And then running it back with Gibson and McLaurin or just McLaurin. McLaurin's my favorite run back of that.
Joe? You said you have 2. Hit it.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one to you unless you just don't take it. But this one I'm going to play, it's Jacksonville. So it's Lawrence, it's Kirk, it's Zay Jones, it's Ingram, it's Etienne. I mean, you could have 10 different lineups with Jaguar stacks that all look different, right? Yep. So I just love playing this Jaguar stack. I got like 20 lineups going this week. A good 8 of them are going to be Jaguar stack related. So, yeah, I'm really liking the Jaguars.
We like it.
All right. Ben? Cardinals are my top stack.
Yeah, that's a good one.
They're just in a great spot, divisional game at home, I think. So
who do you like running it with the most?
So I've got different nukes in every lineup that I'm playing. Sure. That obviously. I will have some Rondale mixed in, and I will have some Ertz mixed into some of those lineups. Okay. If I'm double stacking it, and then I'm bringing it back. In 3 ways. Like I'm bringing it back with Walker in a bunch. I'm bringing it back with Lockett and DK as well. So because it's my number 1 stack, I'm going to have so much of it that I'm bringing it back in multiple ways. Like some of them I'll have like Walker and DK. Others I'll have DK and Lockett and Walker. Like if you're going to game stack it, I think there's just so many different ways you can go about it here. But I like the whole game to get up and go. So
I personally like Rondale Moore the best.
I have a bunch of them. So
out of that group to stack with, but I mean I don't think that I actually prefer Ertz the least. Yeah. If I'm on that stack,
that's how my ownership and exposure right now shows out too. So I think you're right. But I like the skinny the best with Kyler, Nuke, and then I bring it back with 2 options from Seattle. So
fair.
That's it. And then my second favorite is Tampa. Old man Tom. Tom's on the prowl right now in Florida. He's going to be out there looking to impress some ladies.
He's on the prowl.
He's going to be out there showing the guns off and just guns blazing on Sunday afternoon. The hot Florida sun oh yeah, I like it.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
All right, we ready to take our shot calls?
Let's hit it.
Yeah.
Hold on. Did our listeners earn it by liking and subscribing to our podcast here?
I don't know. I haven't checked. So
we've been doing a good job. I mean, we're closing in. Before we do that, we are closing in on our giveaway. I think we've only got, last time I checked, later this afternoon, before we tweeted out, we only have 8 subscribers left until we run our $150 giveaway. So we do.
Come on.
Everyone who has subscribed, we really do appreciate that. And then, we just need 8 more. So we just need 8 closers. Hopefully we can hit that. And then I can run the giveaway on Monday. It'll be live on Twitch. And I will post that. I'll go live from my account on Twitter at JJ McIntosh.
Twitch or Twitter?
Twitch is where I'm going to go live from video.
Yeah, this guy. All right.
So it's just where it's easier for me to do that from my phone.
All right. Good.
So we will be doing that once we hit the 250 subscribers on YouTube. But now that I gave you guys a little bit of time to get together your bold calls, who are your bold calls of the week?
Joe, do it.
Oh, I'm going first.
Yep.
I think Terry McLaurin goes for 30 this week.
Oh,
He had 130 yards last week on 6 catches. Didn't get to the end zone. He got tackled on the inch line on that one.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
He's due for a breakout. Terry McLaurin, 30 points. Scary Terry's back, baby.
I like
All
it.
right.
Vinny, to you.
I am going to say nukes this entire slate here. I'm talking like 15 plus catches, 150 plus, multiple tugs. I'm talking 40 plus points here. If you don't have DeAndre Hopkins in your lineup, just fold up shop now. Go home. Dude, the guy put up 37 last week. And no one even talks about it.
We do. He's like our favorite player in the world.
He's gonna light Seattle's ass up on
that one-handed, left-handed touchdown catch was one of the most ridiculous.
That was freaking unbelievable.
He just came back.
I had to rewind it and watch it again. I was like, did he just do it?
He's such a freak.
He's gonna nuke this whole slate.
His hands are like the aliens from Independence Day.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, and I love the fact that he's the late slate hammer too. So I'm gonna have so much of him. So
love it.
Nuke it.
I am going to say that Mike Evans is finally going to realize all of those unused air yards, and he is going to go for 35 plus.
Damn, we have 3 receivers here.
He will hit the 100. He will hit the 100-yard bonus. He will have 10 plus catches, and he will have 2 touchdowns or more.
Duke Evans, Joey. Who is your guy?
McLaurin, Scary Terry.
McLaurin.
I'm throwing all 3 of those guys in one lineup.
You could. I mean, you can
easily.
There's enough value this week that, why not, right? I mean, I even just built a lineup while we were finishing up here with Joey's contrarian Ram stack, and it's a very good looking lineup.
Yeah, baby.
And there's no man, I had to put him in there. I mean, I played the Jets at defense, so it just once you play the Jets at your defense at 2,000, it just opens up your entire lineup, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm actually kind of excited to see what that can do. This week. Could be fun.
Rock and roll. Let's do it. I think that's it.
Saucy.
All right, guys.
All right, guys. Thanks. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, smash that button, get our followers up, and we will grow. We will get more content out there. And make sure to follow us on Twitter, DFS Joey Levine, JJ McIntosh, Vinnie Levine 29, and DFS or Red Zone DFS. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Post your winnings, tag us, and tune in for the giveaway on Monday because I know we're going to get at least 8 more subscribers tonight.
Yeah, come on.
We got it.
We got to do this weekend, guys. It's so easy. Let's just do it.
Money.
I mean, you're getting whoever wins is going to get $150 via Venmo or PayPal. I mean, it's really that easy. There's no strings attached. Let's just fucking do it.
Hell yeah.
I like it.
All
right, boys.
Week 9.
Good luck Sunday.
Peace.